recognizes Senator from California.
Well, got promoted.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chairwoman.
Sorry about that.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you to the witnesses for being here. Mr. Secretary, I just got word that Senator Padilla from my great state of California was physically assaulted and arrested for attending Secretary Noem's press event. The mere fact that he showed up, he was forcibly removed. Is this how you would treat a member of Congress who attends your press event, whether invited or not?
Well, I've been here for 5 hours, sir. I don't know about that.
I'm just asking, would you have me forcibly removed from your press event?
I'm not going
if I
to
walked
speculate on a hypothetical. I'm sure there's more context.
I'll take that as a yes. Mr. Secretary, does the DOD have any plans to allow the military to follow the orders of President Trump when his order violates the Constitution? Yes or no?
I reject the premise of that question, which is that President Trump is ordering unconstitutional orders.
Let's break this down. Senator Padilla's alleged assault and arrest during Secretary Noem's press event is not just a shocking incident. It's a moment that reverberates deeply through the halls of American democracy. This event unfolded not in a hostile foreign territory, but within the borders of the United States, a nation founded on principles of free speech, open government, and civil discourse. The senator's mere presence at the press event, without engaging in disruptive behavior, was reportedly enough to trigger a physical removal and arrest. That alone raised eyebrows, but when it was revealed that he was also allegedly assaulted during this removal, the situation transformed from a procedural misunderstanding into what many now view as a flagrant abuse of authority. The symbolic weight of a sitting U.S. senator being physically removed from a government event is enormous. It begs critical questions: who ordered this action, and why was such force deemed necessary? Was he truly violating any legal boundaries, or was this an overreach by security forces aimed at silencing or embarrassing a political opponent? The refusal of the Secretary to provide a direct answer during the congressional hearing only deepened suspicions. When asked directly if he would have any congressperson forcibly removed from one of his events, he dodged the question, claiming he would not speculate on hypotheticals. Yet, in doing so, he also failed to draw a line in the sand against such aggressive tactics. The implications of this incident are far-reaching. If elected officials, those with the highest levels of governmental immunity and responsibility, can be treated with such hostility, what does that signal about the treatment of ordinary citizens? The assault of a senator for simply showing up sends a chilling message. Dissent, even passive dissent, may be met not with debate or dialogue, but with force and removal. This reflects a growing unease about how the balance between security and democratic rights is being managed, especially in politically charged environments. The congressional reaction to the incident was swift and angry. Lawmakers demanded accountability, yet the Secretary remained evasive, neither confirming nor denying the details. This lack of transparency only inflamed tensions further. It wasn't just about one man being mistreated. It was about whether the executive branch was using the veil of security to clamp down on political scrutiny. The event turned what should have been a straightforward press interaction into a constitutional controversy. In democratic societies, the power of an elected official to attend public events without fear of physical harm is foundational. Senator Padilla's case starkly challenges that assumption. Whether the actions taken were legal, excessive, or politically motivated remains a matter of investigation and debate, but the moral question lingers unanswered. Was this justice, or was it power asserting itself where it shouldn't? As long as that question remains unresolved, the arrest and alleged assault of Senator Padilla will continue to be a focal point in the conversation about how far the government can go in controlling its own narrative. And what happens when someone dares to show up uninvited?
I'll take that as a yes as well. Mr. Secretary, the deployment of active duty Marines to California is incredibly disruptive to the lives of service members who are being drawn into the president's publicity stunt. And I want to know how you're planning to take care of these troops. So will you commit to sending my office and this committee a detailed plan on how you plan to house and feed the 700 Marines and potentially thousands of Marines?
What's disruptive is when concrete blocks are thrown at the heads of ICE officers. And so we're proud that National Guardsmen and Marines have responded in real time to help defend those federal law enforcement officers.
So do you have a plan? Do you have a plan to house
Not only
feed
do we
these
have
Marines?
a plan, but it's been a focus of mine. I've held a riot shield before in a riot. I recognize what it means to respond in
Secretary,
real time
I
without
reclaim my
enough time.
Mr. Secretary.
So, the deployment of 700 Marines and 4,000 National Guardsmen to a 1-square-mile area in Los Angeles without clear coordination or formal requests from local or state officials represents one of the most controversial actions examined in the congressional hearing. The scale of the operation in comparison to the geographic size of the target area is staggering. Los Angeles County spans over 700 square miles, and yet such a large number of federal forces were concentrated into just 1 square mile. This decision raised immediate concerns about overreach, unnecessary show of force, and a possible political agenda behind the operation. What adds fuel to the controversy is the absence of any request for help from key law enforcement figures. During the questioning, the secretary was asked point-blank whether the LAPD police chief or the LA County sheriff had asked for federal military support. His answer was evasive. He could not provide confirmation that any local official had reached out or given consent to this scale of intervention. In fact, his reply suggested that neither had asked for federal assistance, which raises the fundamental question, why was the deployment authorized in the first place? In the United States, there is a long-standing expectation that military involvement in domestic affairs should only occur under extraordinary circumstances, and only when civil authorities explicitly request support. The lack of coordination with the California governor's office only deepens the concern. When asked about it, the secretary appeared more interested in blaming the governor for being uncooperative than explaining why coordination had not occurred. This breakdown in communication between federal and state leadership undermines the core principles of federalism and mutual respect that underpin the U.S. political system. Deploying such a massive force without local collaboration also risks creating confusion on the ground. Local police departments, emergency services, and public safety agencies operate on established communication networks and protocols. When outside military forces are suddenly introduced into that system without clear integration plans, the result can be disorder rather than stability. In emergencies, every second counts, and overlapping authority can lead to delays, conflicting commands, and public panic. Furthermore, the presence of thousands of troops in a civilian area sends a powerful message, whether intentional or not. It can appear to the public as an attempt to militarize law enforcement responses to what might be civilian unrest or protest. Such optics, especially in a democracy, can have chilling effects on the public's willingness to exercise their rights to assembly and free speech. When citizens see military vehicles in their neighborhoods and soldiers patrolling streets, the environment quickly shifts from civil order to martial control. The decision to act without clear support from local leaders also reflects a lack of trust in local governance. It suggests that federal authorities either did not value or did not seek local input, which could alienate communities and fuel resentment. In the long term, this kind of federal action, perceived as unilateral and forceful, can erode public confidence in the system and strain the relationship between state and federal agencies. It's not just a tactical issue, it's a political and philosophical one, raising questions about the limits of federal power and the respect due to state and local authorities.
Mr. Secretary, will you get me that
everything
plan,
they can
please?
as fast as they can, and we have a plan for that.
Mr. Secretary, I reclaim my plan. Chairwoman, LA Mayor Bass stated that the area placed under the recent curfew is around 1 square mile. Is that the same area where service members will be deployed?
Service members are in Los Angeles to defend law
Do you know?
enforcement, ICE agents, and facilities.
So essentially you're telling me...
Now, one of the most alarming aspects of the congressional hearing was the refusal of the secretary to clearly answer whether the Department of Defense would follow unconstitutional orders issued by President Trump. This question strikes at the heart of the U.S. military's duty, not just to serve the president, but to uphold the Constitution above all. The congressman asked a direct yes or no question. Would the military comply if given an order by the president that violated the Constitution? The Secretary, rather than taking a firm stand to defend constitutional principles, rejected the premise of the question altogether, stating that he did not accept the assumption that President Trump would issue unconstitutional orders. However, that response did little to reassure the committee or the public. The refusal to provide a direct answer created an unsettling impression that the Secretary was either unwilling or unable to affirm that the military would resist unlawful directives. In a democratic system that prides itself on civilian oversight and legal accountability, this kind of ambiguity is dangerous. Military obedience must always be conditioned by legality and moral responsibility. Blind loyalty to any political figure, regardless of office, contradicts the very oath that service members take when they swear to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. Not the president, not a party, but the founding legal framework of the country. By sidestepping the question, the Secretary inadvertently left open the possibility that the Department of Defense might entertain unlawful commands, especially in moments of crisis or political turmoil. History has shown that governments can make grave errors when institutions prioritize loyalty to leadership over allegiance to the law. In the United States, where the rule of law is supposed to be sacrosanct, the idea that military officials might not categorically reject unconstitutional orders is deeply troubling. Furthermore, the context of the question matters. The hearing took place amid discussions of domestic troop deployments, crackdowns on civil unrest, and the militarization of law enforcement. When the military is increasingly being asked to play a role in domestic affairs, the need for absolute clarity about its legal boundaries becomes even more critical. Without that clarity, the line between lawful authority and authoritarian overreach becomes blurred. This is not just a theoretical concern. It has real consequences. If service members begin to believe that they are expected to follow any presidential order without question, even if it contradicts constitutional protections, the potential for abuse becomes significant. The military must serve as a nonpartisan institution committed to defending all citizens equally, not a tool for advancing one leader's political will. The congressman's concern wasn't merely political posturing. It reflected a genuine need to confirm the integrity of American democratic institutions. Citizens must be able to trust that their military will not be used against them unlawfully. The Secretary's failure to affirm that basic principle left a void that cannot be ignored. As debates continue about the role of the military in domestic governance, one thing remains clear. The Constitution must always come first, and those in power must be willing to say that without hesitation.
Secretary Hegseth, this political stunt, and by your own admission, is expected to cost the American taxpayer at least $134 million and will disrupt the lives of hundreds and potentially thousands of active duty Marines and 4,000 National Guardsmen. That's $134 million and thousands of personnel diverted away from critical missions in the Indo-Pacific, where China is rapidly expanding from Europe, where NATO needs US support amid growing Russian aggression, and from CENTCOM, where tensions are escalating so critically that your own General Kurilla had to cancel all his testimony in Congress today. Your redirection of combat-ready troops from real-world national security threats to manage a domestic protest is gross mismanagement and a slap in the face of service members whose lives are disrupted throughout this event. As a veteran myself, it's a disgrace, and you should be ashamed. I yield back.
The gentleman's
Madam
time
Chair,
has expired.
Madam Chair, can we add into record, please, that the gentleman from California has just stated that it is okay to have 1 mile of complete criminality in L.A. so long as it doesn't cover the 4700.
That was not my statement.
Madam
And
Chair, we have,
and that it's
Mr. Mills,
okay.
Mr. Mills has not
Gentleman's
been
not
recognized.
This is absolutely
Either
absurd.
gentleman,
You're putting
either
words in
gentleman
my
is
mouth,
recognized.
Congressman.
have the right
Mr.
to over to the. You have not been
Chair-
recognized.
Either
by the
gentleman is
chair.
recognized. The chair now
And neither have you.
recognizes
Controls
the
the time.
congressman
And neither have
from
you, Mr.
Louisiana, Mr. Higgins, for 5 minutes.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. Let's bring it down a notch, shall we?
At the end, the decision to redeploy thousands of combat-ready troops away from crucial global regions to manage a domestic protest in Los Angeles raised profound concerns among lawmakers and military analysts alike. At the center of the debate is the redirection of military personnel, specifically 700 active duty Marines and approximately 40 California National Guardsmen, from strategically vital theaters of operation to a relatively confined urban area dealing with civil unrest. This move sparked accusations of mismanagement and political manipulation, as it appeared to prioritize a domestic political agenda over pressing international security obligations. The Indo-Pacific region, for instance, is currently one of the most sensitive and strategically important areas in the world. China's aggressive military buildup and expansion into contested territories have kept U.S. forces on high alert. American troops stationed in that region are tasked with ensuring freedom of navigation, protecting allies like Taiwan and Japan, and deterring any potential escalation that could lead to conflict. Redirecting resources from this hotspot weakens the United States' posture and potentially emboldens adversaries who closely monitor American troop movements for signs of vulnerability. Similarly, Europe remains a crucial front in global security due to increasing tensions with Russia. Since the invasion of Ukraine, NATO has relied heavily on U.S. military support to deter further Russian aggression. The presence of American forces on European soil is not only a symbol of solidarity, but also a tangible deterrent. Pulling personnel away from these missions, particularly at a time when the alliance is under strain, could send the wrong message to both allies and adversaries. In the Middle East, the situation is no less volatile. CENTCOM United States Central Command faces challenges from multiple fronts. The resurgence of extremist groups, Iranian influence in conflict zones, and the security of key maritime routes. The testimony revealed that the situation was so critical that General Kurilla had to cancel his congressional appearance to focus on urgent developments in the region. Redirecting military resources from this theater further complicates the already fragile balance and limits the U.S. military's ability to respond quickly to fast-changing threats. Critics argue that this redirection was not driven by strategic necessity, but by political theater. Deploying large numbers of troops to a civilian area in the U.S., particularly in a major city like Los Angeles, is seen by many as an unnecessary flex of federal power, especially when the unrest could have been managed through local and state resources. It's an expensive move, too, with the estimated cost of the operation reaching at least $134 million. That's taxpayer money being spent not to support global missions or improve national defense, but to serve what many believe is a domestic political stunt. The consequences of such decisions go beyond immediate troop movements. They risk undermining morale within the military ranks, where service members are pulled from meaningful, high-priority assignments to be placed in politically charged environments. It also damages America's credibility on the world stage. If U.S. military focus shifts inward for political reasons, it creates gaps that rivals are eager to exploit. In today's complex geopolitical climate, misusing military resources even temporarily can carry long, lasting consequences.